have Huntley Ritter. Huntley Ritter is the CEO of Stafford and USeek, a marketing and communications agency and interactive technology company with a focus on digital and mobile marketing solutions, brand development, and sales strategies. Fun fact, Huntley also is our neighbor. A fun round of applause for Huntley.
How's everybody doing? Thanks for Hearthstone and Al. Free drinks till 10 o'clock for everybody. Thank you, Hearthstone. I'm going to try to stand over here so I don't block everything here. So yeah, we're going to talk about transcending borders. A little background is I've lived in Montana for 18 years. I'm married for 12 years, which I'm very proud of. My wife is also my business partner. And I have 2 kids. So those are some of the foundations of me. And as I said, we have 2 companies that we run here from Whitefish. So we have Stafford and USeek. Stafford is a Marcoms agency, so it's a service business, and USeek is an interactive video technology company, so it's a product. So 2 very different companies that are both in the same space. So everyone's always asking us, what's a Marcoms agency? Oh, so you're an ad agency. You do video? And I say, no, we're not an ad agency. Advertising is a result of what we do. But as a marketing communications agency, and how we've grown into this is that we start with businesses' problem case. So all our clients today, we have clients that we're the agency of record for, and then we come in with brands and work on specific campaigns. But we try to understand what is the business problem. And a lot of times what they think their problem is not their problem. And so we have a process and a method that we've been successful with. And we get in and we understand that. And then we create an architecture and a strategy to solve that problem. As we use marketing and advertising as a result of it, we're always tied very closely to the business case because brands and businesses are trying to do 2 things. So if you're a local business, here in Whitefish, or you're Virgin or Coca-Cola or some of our clients, you're trying to do 2 things. You're trying to sell a product and a service, or you're trying to build a relationship with a consumer. So once we understand that, it's really important that we can check our back trail for the client to make sure everything we do is going to lead to help selling that. Because I can't tell you how many times we've been brought into things and it's really cool, and some ad agency created it, but it has nothing to do with helping move their business forward. So with USeek, we turn videos into games full of rewards. Now we got into that because, as most of everybody knows, video is a huge part of any business's marketing strategy. But creating video is really not that hard anymore. We've been doing it for years, and we thought it was hard, and you create it, but then what's really hard is how do you get people to see your video? And how do you get people to interact with it? You put it on Facebook, and it lives for 3 seconds on silent. They tell you it was a view. They charged you money for it. So we got frustrated with that ourselves, and we took this on. And I'm not a technologist, and it was a daunting task. We've had a little bit of if you guys watch Silicon Valley, the TV show, people often say, what's it like running a tech company in Whitefish? And I'm like, it's like Silicon Valley, the TV show, in Whitefish. But anyway, it's really tied together, and it's gone well, and we've been able to use our background with Stafford. So a couple things I want to show that we're proud of that we've done in transcending borders is, I hate to be put in a box, and I don't know if you guys suffer through this, but we're kind of a different group that people in our industry don't think of when they think of Montana, and they'll prejudge us sometimes. So some of our clients that we've worked with, most all our clients are national or global businesses and brands. And we've been fortunate to work in Latin America, Mexico, Canada, China, Australia, et cetera. You'll see a lot of Virgin brands on here because for 2011 to 2016, our company had an exclusive contract. We ran all the branded entertainment and branded campaigns for the entertainment arm of the Virgin Group. And that was an eye-opener. And sometimes we would create the entire campaigns, we'd have a piece of it, or we would manage an ad agency, and that's a lot where we started to develop more strategies of what those problems were. So one thing that we did last year that I wanted to touch on and why it's relevant here in Montana is I love when I hear these stories and I see a product from Montana or a service, and it's transcending the geographic boundary, right? And it's not just selling to tourists getting off an airplane, but we're seeing it other places. So we got called last year. I woke up one morning, I had a bunch of emails in Chinese and a phone call, and I was thinking, damn, my LifeLock doesn't work. I'm getting spammed. And then they called me again, and I'm trying to listen to the broken English, and I'm thinking, what are you trying to sell me? And then they said, we're with Didi Chuck Singh. And I'm like, what is Didi Chuck Singh? And I Google it, and I'm like, wow, Didi Chuck Singh's pretty big. They're the largest rideshare company in the world transactionally, and they had just bought Uber for $7 billion and crushed them. And So I started being real polite. I was like, how you doing? I'd love to talk to you. What do you got? What are we talking about? And they said, look, we've chosen you. We would like, they were launching their first large-scale marketing campaign. And companies from New York and London and Los Angeles and all over the world were vying for this. And the president saw something we did when she was over on a meeting with the CEO of Apple. And she said, I want that company. And she said, they called him and they referred him. So we created and produced this whole campaign for this massive tech company in China from Whitefish. Now, we did go over there a few times, and we did our process, met with the company. And then we came back here, and we worked on it. And now, so our team's here. We're in this little office over on Baker Avenue by the Wave. And we have some team members in Los Angeles and other places, but this is our base, and this is our home. And this is where we live and run it from. And I love telling when I was over there in China, and they're like, where are you guys out of? And they're like, Montana. Showing them pictures and all this kind of stuff. And other companies, that would judge us or say, like, how did a company in Montana get this? And I think one of the best things in business is to be underestimated, right? It's when people underestimate you, you have a huge advantage. So we created this thing, we launched it, and we were sitting here in Montana when this thing launched last spring, and it generated 2.79 billion views, 410 million hashtag reach, 1.4 million discussions, and Didi's official Weibo record. So in China, their social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook together it's called Weibo. They control everything. We had 150 million retweets, 10 million likes, 80 million discussions, and at the end of the day, it generated 15% increase in sales, and we utilized a block screen approach. So all of a sudden, all those agencies and all those big companies in New York and LA, they weren't laughing so much at us, right? And then I could always say, yeah, we're a Montana company, so we're not all riding horses, although I do ride horses, and just sitting in the weeds over there. So with USeek, something that just happened this week, and another thing that I feel like I'm proud to say we're a Montana company, and I always try to tell people, like, there's people doing so many cool things in Montana. There's so many people working out of their house, innovating things, developing things, selling things, on a global base. Don't box us in. Don't put us in a geographic, scale like that. So this is a picture of, what our interactive technology does. We put data points in here. We show you a hint. You try to find it. So on Tuesday, we have a partnership we just worked real hard to get with T-Mobile. And we're part of the Deadpool campaign. There's a movie coming out called Deadpool by Fox, and they've chosen our technologies riding on top of that movie trailer. It was put out through this partnership with T-Mobile on Tuesday, and we've generated 250,000 registrations in 24 hours, and that's capturing people's phone numbers. It generated 100% engagement, people finding and touching things in it, and the average repeat play per user is 1.5. Typically, people don't repeat it. And then we were fortunate that on Tuesday, John Ledger, the CEO of T-Mobile, did it. And he tweeted about it to 5.6 million people. And, so everyone there, knows, and they're now saying to us, they want to move forward. They want to do a big deal with Red Bull, and they want to come to Whitefish. We're talking about having meetings here in Whitefish with T-Mobile coming from Seattle, and they're like, well, that's really cool. We would rather have the meeting there than sit here in our offices all day. So when I boiled it down and I started thinking about tonight, the challenges of starting a business, and I don't think it's just starting a business. I think, we all have jobs. You're either working or you started the business. So I said, okay, let me think of the challenges. And there are a couple challenges. I mean, one, it's expensive to fly in and out of here. It's like, and if you're paying for that, that's painful. And if you have a client that's going to pay for it, you really don't be like, it's $1,300. And they're like, really? We pay $300 normally. So that's kind of painful, and it's a little time, office space, like that you were saying. Somebody was saying, or Zach, I think, touched on it. It took us a while to find some office space. This is a resort area. It wasn't built for it. But the truth is, I don't think the conversation's about what our challenges are running a business here, because I really can't come up with a ton. All I really come up with is there's so many opportunities running a business here. And I remember, I moved to Montana in 1999. My brother was an airline pilot, and I spent 6 months in Los Angeles, 6 months here. I'd go back and forth. For years, our business was mostly based out of there. And we had offices in Los Angeles. And I was sitting down there in my office by myself one day working, and I had one client who was 3 blocks away. I'm on the phone with her, and I said, hey, would you like to get together and do this in person? And she's like, well, we're too close to get in the elevator and go get the car to valet and drive, and we're too far to walk. We can just do this on the phone. I'm thinking, like, what am I doing? And I thought I had to sit there. And so the next day I got on the plane, I flew back up, and I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. And we kept the office there for a little bit, but that was kind of a pivotal moment for me where I changed our process. And really that was in my mind, right? Like I thought, well, I had to do that. I boxed myself into that. And so when I think about all the perks in the business, our business took off from that. Our business has done so well not being in those areas, right? Not sitting in the car for an hour and a half. Operationally, it's easy. I mean, I could list all these things, right? You know, your commute's 5 minutes, and if it's longer, it's beautiful, right? And you're looking at wildlife, and you're looking at mountains, and people actually charge you for that. It's called a tour. But, you know, in LA, it's traffic. And when I boil down all those benefits, it comes to three things for me. And that is want, right? So I want to be here. I came here at 15 years old, fly fishing, and I just thought this was the most amazing place in the world. And every day, like, I want to be in Montana. I don't want to leave. In fact, you know, when a client calls or something happens summertime, it's got to be a really good piece of business for me to leave. My parents are coming to visit, and I've got them leaving at the end of June as the rivers clean up. So I can go fish. But I want to be here, and I think that's really important. And every day we're on phone with calls with people all over the place, and they'll say, they either know us, they say, how's Montana today? Or if they're like, where are you guys? And we're like, we're in Whitefish, Montana. And they're like, really? And they're like, how is that? And they're like, oh man, gosh, I would love to be in Montana. I had to sit in traffic for an hour today to get to work. They don't want to be where they are. You know, and we want to be here. And I think that's something that everybody in this room relates to. Everyone that's made a commitment to be here and do that and start a business or work here, we want it. And that's a powerful thing. And the second thing is love, right? I have a love affair with Montana. And I've had a love affair with Montana since I saw it. And I had to work hard to figure out how to be here. And that love affair makes us want to be here. And that turns on all these benefits. But those core bases, that's really important. A lot of people don't have that in your life. I mean, think about how lucky you are to love somebody or be in love with a person, or if your job or your career, to love what you do. But to love a place, there's not a lot of people, to be honest. They're sitting there in their jobs, and they're sitting in places, and they don't love where they are, and they don't really want to be there, but they feel like they have to be there. So I think the real topic is, the benefit we have is there's just so many opportunities here. And the third piece is bond, right? And I think everybody in this room, all of us, there's a bond that we have, you know, by living here, because we love it and we want to be here. And we've done things to, you know, make that happen. And I mean, I was in a meeting in New York about 6 weeks ago, and the guy in the meeting said, where are you guys based? I said, Whitefish. He's like, I'm from Montana. And we had this whole love fest about Montana that everyone had to sit there and be like, you guys done? Like, can we talk about this? And we're like, they don't understand. We went out for drinks after, and it was like, they don't get it, but we all get it, right? And we understand, and that bond, when you break it down, you know, it builds community. And we see each other here, and we all know it, you know, whether it's a huge business or a small business, you know, it's got a lot of similarities, but then we can see each other at Casey's, and we see each other on the ski slopes, and we see each other. And that community, what I realize is that's a differentiator for our business, because what we're, you know, really doing is the slide not changing? Hold on. Is we're bringing a sense of community into a global marketplace, right? And when you think about that for a second, those major corporations and in those major markets, they don't have that. So like our team here, and probably like your all's teams and the people you work with, and how we actually support each other as businesses in a community, it's unique. You only get that. I don't want to say Montana's the only place that may have that, but I know this place is really special. And I'm sure, and I don't think it's just Whitefish, I think it's the whole state, you know, has a lot of little places. And bringing that community into a global marketplace, it's palpable. And our clients seem to like that and feel that. And what I've realized is that if you're solving a problem for them and you have something good, they don't care. They don't care. They're not so impressed with the, you know, something fancy and flashy out of a major area. So something changed for me a few years ago, and I started thinking, you know, well, we've done this, and we've been fortunate to work and have all these experiences with brands and work around the world, and take a sense of community, which is what we have, into a global marketplace. How do we take, you know, because there's, you know, they move away. And now when I had the kids, I started thinking about it. So Al is my neighbor. I called him the other day and I was like, business, what it comes down to and why we focused on it, everything we've sort of done since 2005 when we work with businesses and we create these strategies, our vehicle for that is through digital. And digital we think is the easiest way to transcend those borders. And you say digital and it sounds like a trash can term, and it is a little bit. But technology and digital has opened up so many doors for all of us. And whether you're selling a product or a service, to a tourist population or you're like us, it's just an opportunity that we feel is a tactical way to think a little bit bigger and transcend those borders. So that, I think, on the business level is what we found to have success in. Not being put in a box. How do we actually get out of? Because if I had to rely just on my geography area, you guys would hate me because I'd be at your businesses every day being like, hey, can we do something for you? You got any video? We'll make it interactive. And you'd be like, this guy here, he comes again. So, but we have this opportunity, and it's getting out of that. How do we take that? And I just believe there's always a way to do that. So for me personally, there are two things. And this is just me personally. So it's kind of a top-down approach. And my base and foundation that I start with is faith and mind. As a faith, I'm a Christian. That's a big, important thing to me. I'm not standing up here to say I'm the one you should follow because I struggle with things. But, my personal life, I try to focus on what is my faith and my relationship with God. And if I don't try to control things in my life, then I typically screw them up, and I try to understand what those are. He's given me these talents, and where have they led me? And they've led me here, and they've led me with these amazing opportunities. And that has opened more doors and transcended, more great things in my life than anything else. That's just personally has happened for me. And so faith is something that I strive every day to work hard at having, because that's the number one foundation of what helps me transcend borders before I get to the talents or the opportunities that I feel God has given me. And my mind is something that I feel he's given me and I can control. It's up to me, how to use that. I don't see things, I don't see the obstacle, I see the opportunity. I don't see the problem, I look at what's the solution. And I think that is our, if I start there, I can break out of any kind of border. I can think big, and I can move out of a circumstance, and then I use these other aspects. So if you guys ever come by our office, like I said, we're next to Glacier Medical. Just make sure you're not coming when you're going to Glacier Medical. There's a big sign on our wall in one of the rooms that, how did we, I don't know how to blow this up. Hold on, there we go. Well, I'll tell you while we're trying to blow it up. So it's by Henry Ford, and it says, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And I really love this. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. To me, it sums it all up. And so I painted it. We have it, it's huge in our office, really to remind me every day that where do we start, right? And why do we limit ourselves and put ourselves in a box and say, well, we're in a geography area of a mountain town. There's challenges. There's so much opportunity. And when I live in this, I live in the and, the what if, and the why. Somebody says, we could do this. And it's like, and what if we did this too, right? Or what if? What if we could do this? And the why. Like, why are we doing this? Why do people care? Why will this make a difference? So I think if, personally our experience has been, my experience with running these businesses and being able to work with these brands and not being the usual suspect, to be honest, and capturing those is starting with my faith and mind as my bottom line and thinking I can. So that's it.